Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame community. I'm Pierre, here again to help you with some fantasy baseball waiver wire pickups for pitchers coming out of the All-Star break. Which are some of the pitchers, both starters and relievers, that might help you make that run towards victory in the second half? Let's get into it. All right, let's go ahead and start out with one of my Marlins. Talk about a pitcher. Well, just a couple weeks ago, we talked about Max Meyer, one of their top draft picks from a couple years ago. Really high-end prospect. He debuted and it did not go well at all. All right, look, we got to keep the faith. Obviously, a rookie making his first start. There's going to be some nerves. He's got the stuff. We'll see what happens there. But you know what? Overshadowing another guy who was also a first-round pick, in fact, number 7 overall a couple years ago, was Braxton Garrett. All right, so Braxton Garrett's a guy who had been pitching kind of both in and out of the rotation, made some relief appearances. Didn't do so great either early in the season, but now all of a sudden, it's like the light bulb has gone off. He allowed 1 run over 7 1/3 innings, and then 3 runs in 5 2/3 against the Mets. That's a pretty tough matchup. And then a 2-hit shutout over 6 innings against the Pirates with 11 strikeouts. So again, last 3 starts, he's been a different guy, and we know he's got the talent. This is somebody who, said this before, Marlins favorable home park for pitching. Right, not an overly tough division other than the Mets. Marlins, there's one thing they do well, it's develop starting pitching. We see that over and over again. Braxton Garrett, absolutely worth keeping an eye on, if not picking up right now. See if he continues his success. Complete aside, by the way, if you did watch Meyer the other day, let's just, admit that those MLB City Connect jerseys, they're fire, most of them, but Marlins, it's got to be the best one, hasn't it? All right, so from the new to the old, let's go back to Johnny Cueto. I mentioned him several weeks ago back in May when he first came on with the White Sox. Hadn't been pitching early in the season, latched on, had 2 really good starts, was looking like a hot pickup, and then he, of course, for those who did pick him up after those 2 starts, he hurt you, right? He hurt you pretty bad because that one start gave up 5 runs, and it looked like, well, maybe it was just a mirage. Maybe Cueto of old is just old Cueto. Like me, look, I fell for it. I picked him up, and then after that start, and then the next start wasn't that great either, so I dropped him. And I really wish that I hadn't done that because he has picked it back up. He's been actually the epitome of solid. Other than that one really bad start, he's only given up more than 3 runs on that one occasion. He's been a high floor pitcher. Look, he's not getting a ton of strikeouts anymore, but he's got a 118 whip, a 2.80 ERA, and he's just been getting better as the season goes on. I guess he's fresh because he didn't have to go through April and spring training too much, but this is a guy in the last 3 starts giving up a total of 3 earned runs. Cueto is a guy that we know is reliable. He looks like he is in good shape. Again, the strikeouts aren't going to be great for you, but the way he's pitching, absolutely worth picking up, and he's going to get his fair share of wins on that team. All right, let's go to the closers. We've got a couple to recommend here. So let's start with probably the most secure of them. That is Kyle Finnegan. Way back in the year, I stumped for Tanner Rainey, who was just not getting a lot of attention because he was in the Nationals, but he was the guy. He's been pretty solid. Not the closer anymore because he's not going to pitch the rest of this year. Out for the season with injury, so Finnegan steps in. We'll see how he does. Look, he's pitched pretty well this year. He's got a 2.93 Sierra. All right, that's skill independent ERA. That's more of a true measure of how you're actually pitching. 28% strikeout rate. Only 1 save so far, but you know what? The rest of the season, it should be his job unless they happen to have a fire sale. Maybe he gets traded, becomes a setup guy somewhere else. For the most part, I think his job and his position is pretty safe. So you need saves. I would go to Finnegan first. All right, so Kenley Jansen was sidelined for a couple of weeks. Scary heart condition, something he's had for a while, but he is back. He was activated, but he's been used more low leverage situations, pitching the 8th inning. Hasn't quite got the closer job back yet because AJ Minter has been lights out. I thought it was going to be Will Smith, a veteran. It probably should have been, but he has just not been himself this year. AJ Minter, the hard-throwing lefty, He has held down the job really nicely. It's hard to say for sure whether Jansen gets that job as we go down the stretch run, but for now, Minter, I mean, even if he isn't picking up as many saves, he's helping you because he's struck out 52 batters in 39 innings. He's piling up the Ks. He will get some saves for the time being. Maybe the rest of the season, as far as we know. If you're in a holds league, you absolutely should already have had Minter somewhere. This is a guy that we know is pitching for one of the better teams in the league. So AJ Minter, if he's still out there, he's available in about 45% of Yahoo leagues, but there's a good chance that you need relief help. He's there for you. The Rangers never really had a closer cemented. We thought it might be Barlow, and he did okay, but right now it's Brett Martin, who right before the All-Star break had 3 saves in a 4-day span. Looks like he's the guy for right now. 27-year-old, someone that hasn't really made his mark in the majors. Right now, he's earning saves. So you're in a saves league, you need saves. There you go. That makes him relevant. Don't expect strikeouts. This is a guy who is striking out 19.8% of batters this year, and that kind of falls in line with his career mark. In the majors, he's never been a guy who generates a lot of whiffs, but he does avoid hard contact, does a good job of that. And right now, he's earning a 308 xWOBA, and that's a good measure of how batters are performing, getting on base against him. So he's been effective. Obviously, the Rangers are trusting him in the 9th inning. We'll see how long that leash is, but for now, short-term save opportunities. Go with Brett Martin. And then we started with a Marlin. Let's finish with one too. You're looking long-term. You want a guy who could be that difference maker. All right, so how about a guy who has been on the injured list for a while? I'm talking about Jesus Lazardo. He is a flamethrower. He's been a top prospect, first with the Nationals, then with the A's. Went to Miami, kind of a homecoming for him, and he was looking really sharp at the beginning of the season, and of course, got injured. Look, he's had some bad luck the last couple of years, but we know what he's about. Strikeout rate in the 97th percentile this year when he's pitched with Miami. He also posted a 193 expected batting average. That tells you he's not getting hit hard at all either. Lazardo is one of those guys, if he wasn't stashed on the IL in your league because again, a long-term injury, a guy that we didn't really know what to expect coming into this year, there's a good chance he is still out there. Looks like about 2/3 of Yahoo leagues, he is available. Check your waiver wire. See if Lazardo is available. Definitely somebody you can stash. You know what? If you have a space on your IL, stash him, put him on there when he comes back, which should be a couple of weeks. Again, we're not really sure the timeline. It might be mid-August, but when he comes back, he's absolutely worth inserting into your lineup. All right, those were my waiver wire picks for now. Week 15 of the fantasy baseball season. Check out the hitter version as well. Here to help you all year long to win.